The cameras. But that picture is just from years. There was some of the Oxford diplomacy. There were issues. This is the last one. She's also truly no, if you like, they won't watch it's like, if you like, this chair, they will run. If you do it, they will run. It's like that. We have, if you didn't do a lot of things, but they will make you last week once you want to, like, where you go to this one, they will suggest a lot of things. Take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second session of the conference. In this conference, we are going to present our project, Don't Drop Me Outside, with its background, with its outputs, aims, and so on. I will start with the background of the project and what we promised in this project. As you all see, the name of the project is Don't Drop Me Outside. So we would like to include all the students, and our aim is to reduce the dropouts in schools. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mehmet Aydoğmuş, and I'm working for Necmettin Erbakan University in Curriculum and Instruction Department of Education faculty. As you all know, this project has been funded by European Commission in the frame of Erasmus program. It has been funded by EPOS Belgium. In this Erasmus program, there are national agencies in different countries. So this project has been funded by Belgian national agency EPOS. Let me explain first what Erasmus Plus means. Erasmus is the EU's program to support education, training, youth, and sport in Europe. And Erasmus offers mobility and cooperation opportunities in higher education. Maybe this one is the most popular one and well known around the world, not in Europe. And it covers higher education, adult education, vocational education and training, youth, school education. This project has been prepared in the frame of this one, school education, and also sport. And the Erasmus program, there are Erasmus Plus countries in Europe. Turkey is also one of those countries. But for now, it is open for all countries around the world. So if you want to join in this Erasmus program, all countries can do something together with Erasmus Plus countries. In this project, we are 4 countries. As I mentioned, Belgium. Belgium is the coordinator and applicant of this project. And Erasmus Plus gives chance to the organizations to cooperate. I mean, organizations from different fields. And I think Don't Drop Me Outside is a good example of it. For example, Codec is an NGO, and the Seknefalix is a secondary school, and from Turkey, not Turkey. As you know, we changed our official name international level, and it became Turkey. So I'm trying to get used to it. So, and we are Necmettin Erbakan University, and our second national partner is Kırşehir Provincial Directorate of National Education. And from Slovenia, Smart Idea is a private company, and we have Solstice Center Valenia It is school center of Valenia, means they are also school. From Portugal, we have Jumping Hub, they are also an NGO, and there is also a group of schools, Agrupamento de Escolas de Aguas Santos. Sorry. I will improve my Portuguese pronunciation. What is the aim of this project? General objectives of the project is decreasing school dropout in the partner countries and in also European countries. We would like to contribute other countries also in holistic approach by developing education programs for students, online test tools for teachers and students, and increasing teachers' competences related to preventing school dropout and making contribution to the related measures around Europe. And if we describe school dropout, what it means, there are many descriptions related to school dropout, but we prefer this one. School dropout means leaving school without any degree in any level of education, especially in high school, because of the influences of different reasons. And this is main problem in high schools, and especially in vocational ones. And it happens in upper classes. It is one of the most important educational problems of Europe and the world also. And there is EU strategy, 2020 strategy, and the aim was to reduce it, decrease the level of school dropout under 10%. And it, as we all mentioned here in this program, there are many negative consequences of school dropout. And here I will mention some of them. And the ones who drops out are mostly deprived of the benefits of education, gainings of education, and most probably they are unemployed. And the other consequences are depressed mood, suicidal tendency, crime rates, antisocial behaviors, less contribution to the economy. And the ones who drops out needs more resources for social support, and illegal activities can also be. And for school dropout, there are many reasons, hundreds of reasons, let's say. And here we put them into some categories. There are individual reasons, family-based reasons, environmental reasons. If you look at the individual ones, low academic achievement, having low self-esteem and self-confidence, more common, it is more common among boys. And they don't feel loyalty to school, and they may have school burnout, school reluctance, school dislike, and substance use, and having sexual experience under the age of 15. So we reviewed the literature and we found these reasons. And there are also family-based reasons, like low socioeconomic level, poverty, failure of the family to meet needs, low parental support from the educational point of view, the negative beliefs of the family for their children, for their child's success at school, low parental expectation from the child in educational point of view, adoption of adult roles in as family-based reasons, adoption of adult roles in early life. Some youngsters has to do it. Considering girls as a cheap labor, the belief that education for them is unnecessary as they get married and do not work. Fragmented family. Problematic relationship among members in the family. Existence of physical or sexual violence. High level of general stress in the family. Serious family disputes or problems. High number of family members to have high number of siblings. The level of education of the parents is at high school or high school level or below this level. Mm, Mostly fathers are unemployed. Having parental stories of school dropouts, frequent relocation of the family, being a minority, the language used at home differs from the language used at school. There are also environmental reasons, as I mentioned. The overall average academic achievement of the school is low. It mostly happens in vocational schools here in Turkey, for example. The fact that the school is very crowded, the number of the male students in the school is high, the number of minority groups are higher than majority. The fact that the school has high number of students who has classification, high number of absentees and suspension penalty, the low career opportunities provided by the school. Being member of racial, ethnic or religious minority groups, low career opportunities provided by school, communication problems with teachers, having friends with problematic behaviors, having a full-time working friends who already left the school. And these reasons may differ from country to country, but as I mentioned, we reviewed the literature, the studies related to school dropout, and these are the main findings. And there are also some characteristics, common characteristics of the students who has school dropout tendency. Their academic success, motivation, competency beliefs are low, burnout is observed, studying habits are not enough. They are absent for a long time. They have problems with their teachers and with their friends. Attention deficit and indications for hyperactivity. And in this project, don't throw me outside, we promised to realize some intellectual outputs. And in this project, we have 5 intellectual outputs, and now I will shortly explain them. The first intellectual output of the project is competence framework for teachers. The aim of this output is to define the competences like knowledge, skills, attitude, which are necessary for dealing with the students who have school dropout risk or hidden school dropout tendency. This word hidden is really important because there are also some students who are very successful in their academic career, but they also have school dropout tendency. And teacher dropout competence test, it is the second intellectual output of the project. Sometimes we are all teachers and we are not aware of the competences which are crucial for preventing school dropout. The aim of this outcome is to develop teacher competence test, which can also be used as self-evaluation tool by teachers. And the third one, teacher training program. It may be assumed that if teachers' competences, particularly the socio-pedagogical competence, increase, it will reduce absence and dropout rates. It may also be assumed that this competence could be achieved through training programs for teachers. The aim of this outcome is to supply the teachers with the necessary competences to tackle the problem. And the fourth one is online school dropout tendency test for students. Creation of quantitative tool for the schools as a practical tool which can detect the students who show school dropout tendency will help teachers and directors to create a database about the students, and it will support the qualitative methods. And the fifth and the last intellectual output, education program for the students who has a risk of school dropout. Investing in promoting one single competence will not sufficiently ameliorate the problem of school failure and dropout. Rather, several competencies should be considered and targeted jointly. Here in this project, we consider a holistic training program showing promising results in promoting skills of the students, which may ensure success in school. So these intellectual abuse, as I mentioned, it is holistic project and it has two dimensions. The first one is for teachers and the second one is for the students. And my colleague Annika and Gasper are going to introduce you these two dimensions. And I'm very thankful for your participation. Thank you very much.
Herkese iyi günler, everybody. Welcome. I have the honor to present our produced teacher training, which is based on our findings through the whole lifetime of the project. Of course, it will still be adapted and improved by the time when we see if everything works well with the feedback provided from the teachers, of course. So the main reason for this teacher training is to help teachers to engage, recognize, and prevent school dropout, and to reconnect to the students on another level, to more see these tendencies and what my colleague Mevlut already prepared and explained. So mostly to support the teachers, to be able to support the students, and to improve or decrease, let's say, the dropout rate in schools in general. Okay. So of course, first would be what is school dropout. So at the beginning of every training, it is nice to recap or reflect about the things you have to know about the school dropout. What is the basics? So school dropout is defined simply as a problem as any person who fails to earn a high school diploma or degree. In practice, however, it can be a challenge to identify students who will drop out with precision. So European integration has led to a better understanding of the multidimensionality of early school leaving in the European Employment Strategy, ESE. Considered as a priority key domain of the Lisbon Strategy, these objectives were materialized in Portugal in the National Plan of Employment in 2001, which stated the goal of creating conditions for the full employment in a knowledge society, as associated to the pillar of improving employability. So this will be the main goal also for Europe and in the world, to provide students with the education to be providers also in their society and the countries. Of course, we have this term of absenteeism. This is related to the tendency how the students are lacking to attend in schools. We have also the types of school absenteeism. We have high absenteeism. This is percentage of absence greater than 50%. This is more obvious than the rest of them. So we also have to pay attention to the low absenteeism, which is the, let's say, primary or the start of the larger scale. This was already explained by Mr. Mevlut. Where does it occur? Of course, in high schools, in upper classes, and more male students. We have the reasons. So as a teacher, when we train, we also have the reasons for school dropout. Also very important is about the signs of school dropout, is the truancy, school fatigue, personal emotional problems, repeating school year, of course, and individual characteristics, equals low motivation. What we have to be careful, it's a bit off right now, but okay, a little, are the pitfalls for teachers, which can happen, of course, and how to encourage the dropout and preventing the dropout. Of course, as a teacher, you maybe think you prevent the dropout, but for the student, you are helping them to go off the school because maybe you are too pushy and you want some things and you didn't really engage in the level the student expects. And of course, high expectations. So it's important that for the students, they have clear goals because to be honest, not every student has the capacity to reach the level of others. So we have to be flexible in any way to provide them with the knowledge to be an active citizen in the community. It's an infographic of the science. And what was for us very important is an active prevention of school dropout. So not just bother the teachers, let's say, to give them more theory, more paperwork and studying, but to teach them how to actively approach the topic of school dropout. And we prepared some, also some activities. They are not all listed, but in any case, at the end, everything will be available on our website for download. So we have the reasons for dropout. We have the learning outcomes and divided to the activities with students. So for every topic, for the active approach, we have activity, and we also explain what will be the outcome, or the preferred outcome, and how to make this activity function with your students. We have the assessment and evaluation of school dropout, also with learning outcomes and the activity. Effective communication and cooperation regarding school dropout. This is very important to engage the student with their, let's say, interpersonal life, with their emotions and their visions. To find his internal compass, so that you reflect on the students what they really want, if they are suitable, if they want to be in this, let's say, way of teaching, maybe it's not the right school or the right program for them, help them in that way too. Then the importance of the iceberg model. This is very important to get deeper into the psychology of the students, to engage them. So the teachers usually focus on the part of the peak of the iceberg that lays above the water, you say. The part under the water is what really drives the pupil. Think of the iceberg that keeps it afloat. So everything what is regarding the pupil, their emotions, their wishes and beliefs are this base for them. But also how to understand and how to change. You will have to learn to work with the bottom drawer, let's say, or the bottom part of the iceberg, and you can change it in the end. Okay. So the question is, the picture can help you on your way to better understand the guide the pupil. So this is the ABC motivation. This is also provided from the campus place. Okay. This also is a type of motivation where to engage the pupils in what way and how to improve these areas. And go over course of study. So what are the options, the reality, what is happening, what are the goals, and the will. Do the students have the will to go this distance, or maybe it would be better to redirect them and help them in that way, and and they will also be happier there. Also, we prepared a preparation and implementation of an action plan. Of course, how to implement this. And we have certain activities, some open discussion activities. These are really engaging for the students, and teachers will, or others or peers will get to know them better along the way. So role play is also very, very active to participate. And of course, everything will be available on our webpage. And effective approach and support of students' development, like improving studying habits. Some students don't have these studying habits, let's say, evolved in the way, or they have just other, let's say, other techniques to comprehend knowledge, and we also need to engage that. Learning strategies for students. Example. I won't bother you with this here now. It's more when we have more time. So, and of course, when dropout happens, what to do next? What students can do? What are their options? So, like, especially for NEETs, youngsters, not in education, employment, or training, it is important that they have certain options how to integrate in, let's say, the normal life as we think about it. And the options, like, for example, are like rebuilding self-esteem. Normally dropout happens with very low self-esteem, especially. Start an apprenticeship is very, very useful to, let's say, reroute your way of thinking and go back then to school. Do an internship to learn some practical education. Getting a job, of course, is some way of solving this to be a citizen. Transferring to a different high school. If the program is not for you, you can always change it. Going to an academy school or homeschooling is called also unschooling. And completing your high school diploma online is also an option. That's it. Thank you very much.
I'm not a sitter. So I try to walk and stand a little bit. Try to push somewhere here. Do you all understand?
Yeah, we can hear, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to talk a bit about the student training program that we are making, because it's not totally finished yet. And we have a little problem. I think I'm too far from the... Maybe I just put that and you push the button. Okay. So first we did a study about the scope of the education program. And school dropout is a very difficult problem, because in every country it's there are other it's a very complex and multifaceted problem, and it's a combination of many factors in education. It's not only the students, it's the school, it's the parents, it's the family, it's a large project, you can call it that way. So we try to make an education program which is very balanced and has a multidimensional approach. So we had a lot of different people working on it. And mostly why we did it was we want to decrease employment, because the biggest problem is if the students drop out of school, what are they going to do in their future? But it's not just one person who can fix that, so the whole school must be integrated to solve the problem. And in Belgium we say that education needs to be around the student. So it's student-centered, it's not teacher-centered or school-centered. The student needs to be in the middle of it. And so we can improve students' educational success. We want a little bit to improve their good behavior, and we will also support them on emotional and social and other well-being terms. That's the goal. So I already said it's a lot of people who are integrated to try to solve this problem. And the second thing we want to do in this training program is improving the study habits. Why do we want to do that? Because there's a low academic achievement. There are a lot of students who want to do something, but they are disappointed because they won't get there until the end. So we want to increase their academic success by changing maybe some study habits. And in our project we made a course for training students, and we had some examples about how you can do it. So if you want to know more about that, you can ask us afterwards, or you can find it on the website. I only choose one example. So we learn the students how they can change their learning styles, because students are all different. Some they study visual, some they want to hear what you're saying, some other they want to move, and like me, I won't sit there. So everyone has his own learning style, and knowing what kind of style you have can already help to study and to improve your education. Then there are also learning strategies for students. Because mostly students, they know, if you say you have to summarize this text, they know what it means, but they're not able to summarize the text. So you need to implement strategies that they are simple, they can use it, and they can improve their system. So, for example, underlining, you can line everything. So when I say sometimes you have to search for the most important things in this text, then I see it's all yellow. They don't know how to find it. So underlining needs instruction to taking notes, maybe text margins. When it seems sometimes that students are scared to write something down that is not on the blackboard or on what the teacher is telling. And then I always say that Einstein also made notes in the margin. So now they are glad that they are also doing it. And summarizing is also a simple strategy, but if you don't know how to do it, you have some problems. Also, we want students to be aware of their behavior. So we want to learn them why they need to be in school or need to study. So the relationship with the school and with the teachers must be positive. One activity you can do about that is a college of emotions. It's a kind of, you give some magazines to the students and you say you can make a picture by taking pieces of the magazine and just make what you want to be. So they think about their emotions, what do I feel, what do I want, and so they can get closer to a goal, so why they want to study. And it gives a bit of emotional harmony. I don't know all students in the world, but in Belgium it is also a problem. Students don't know how to cope with their emotions because world is changing so quickly that they can really use some help from us. Also, we want to prevent irresponsibility and aggression and other kinds of bad attitude by helping them to develop life skills like problem solving, critical thinking, communication, making decisions, that there are some rules you can follow, but if you don't know how, So to develop these skills will help them to be aware of what is possible. And also maybe gender and religion and disability and all these kind of factors are important to talk with students about that. For example, there you could use a Bate board game. In this game they have to use strategies. How can we solve conflicts? How can we talk about how we feel? And after the game you need to talk with the students too, because there's a lot of emotion in this. It's a play, but still they learn a lot about it. Then we already piloted some improving relationships between students and teachers. I don't know if schools here are big, because I heard something about sometimes it's a really big school and you don't have the possibility to have a relationship, a small talk with students. We are so lucky in Belgium to teach in a small school, so we know every student by name and by heart. And then you can build up a positive relationship so students can come if they have some problems. But it's also double, because if they come with problems and I'm a math teacher, I've never studied how to solve these problems, so you need a bit of organization to mix all this. We had this experiment with talent cards, because when you ask a student what do you like or what do you want to be, they often say, I can do nothing, I'm just sitting here, I don't know what I am. And then we have this game with the cards. There are a lot of talents on it, and students can choose one or two, or we mostly take 5 of these talents they have to work on for a whole year. And if someone says, I'm only talented in this case or that case, we ask the other students, what do you think the talent of the student is? And if we're not all going to the 5, then also the teachers can give them talent. And then they say, oh yeah, after a month I've been working on this talent, yes, I'm really good at that. And so students can improve their feelings. And positive feelings is always good for staying at school. If someone wants to see these talent cards, we've got them with us. They're in English, but maybe they're available in more than one language, so you can come and see it. And then, of course, improving the non-academic self-confidence of students. Low self-esteem as students really need to be, how can I say it in English, adored, or need to be positive, talked positively, because there's so much bullying, abuse at home. If you read in Belgium, in the first day of the year, you get a list of all the problems students have, so you know what is going on in the situation, but that's only what the students told us. So we don't know about the problems they have that they never talk about. And if you see that, sometimes you think, how is it possible that they are still here in school? So that's also something you need to work on it. I'm not talking about drugs and all the rest of problems, so that can be improved too. And then it's a bit like Casper said, this non-academic self-confidence can be better if you take an apprenticeship or you do an internship, you get a job and things. There's also like a game or an exercise you can do with the students, like doing, if you're a journalist who is taking an interview, and then they have to talk about themselves, and then they realize in what situation they are, because if you don't ever ask, they don't think about it. So that's about our part of the student training. So if you have some questions, the team will be here all day. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Annika. Is there any question, contribution, or comments microphones.
Yes, I still have something then.
Well,
We want to thank you with Belgian chocolates.
okay. Is there any contribution, comments? Everything is clear, I think, right? Okay, Angeliki.
Just to
Microphone is coming. We have his screen now on YouTube, so we should use microphones. Okay.
just out of curiosity, I was wondering what is the ethnic composition of the school? Essentially, do you find that school dropout is more common amongst specific groups of the school population that you're serving, or do you find that dropout is distributed equally across different groups of children in terms of ethnic background?
I think it really depends from country to country. That's so and in our country, we have a lot of Turkish. So our school is a little half Turkish, half Flemish. No, it's mostly like Gasperstadt hidden. So yeah, that's not a decision to take. It's also Flemish people and not Flemish people. And your situation in Turkey?
I think it is similar, more or less, in all countries, in European countries and in the world, as well as I can say. And if there is ethnic minorities in the school, and if the language that is spoken in the school, and if it is different than the language spoken in the family, so they have, let's say, more dropout tendency, or not, let's say, dropout, but they have difficulties in understanding the subjects in the school, and they may have educational problems, and they need extra support. Here in our country nowadays, we have very high number of immigrants and refugees from different countries, so it is really difficult for us to integrate very huge numbers. So it is a bit, let's say, over our capacity. So it can be a problem, but we are trying to do our best, and we are experiencing it newly, in fact. But we have experience in other countries like Germany. We have many people, Turkish people in Germany, and you know the promoter of the Wasim, what was his name? Uğur Şahin. Uğur Şahin is now the CEO of BioNTech, and with his wife, they invented the Wasim, and it is really important for the world. He graduated from gymnasium in 1980s, and he was the first immigrant student who graduated from that gymnasium. So it is a great success for him. But mainly, as I mentioned in our presentation, being ethnic minority, being member of immigrant family, still a big obstacle for schools and for teachers, for the parents also.
Maybe just one addition to that, that mostly about ethnicity, like in Slovenia we have the problem with Roma people. And related to that, let's say the children or the students have bad role models. in means of if they see the parents that okay they can live, they do well, unless regardless of having education anyway, they can live and they follow their steps. So this is in Slovenia, let's say, big problem to integrate them. In Slovenia, we tried to also to teach in Roman language to support them to, let's say, overcome this barrier and to slowly integrate it into the Slovenian or foreign language. But still, mostly if they don't have the support at home from the parents to go this extra mile or the effort, they will drop off for sure.
And I don't know, in Belgium we have learning duty, but not school duty. You don't have to learn at school. You can learn at home. So that's the part we don't see. So we don't know if they drop out because we don't ever get them in school. So we have learning duty, but not school duty.
Are there any other questions or comments or contributions?
Well, I have some
Yes.
questions.
Hi, I have like two questions. The first one is there an active counseling part in your schools, like psychological counselors for non-academic activities and helping students with the self-esteem and activities like your like card games and other stuffs? And the second question is about job. I see there, I saw something there, it was like from preventing things was job and internship. And from the place that I know, some people starting job, some students, then they drop out from schools. And how can a job like prevent dropping from schools? Thank you.
Okay, maybe I can help with that. Of course, all students or all people somehow in their lives come to a certain point. They don't see an exit or don't see a goal. So if that happens, a job can bring clarity to the student's mind to see, okay, I'm working here, but the job is not for me. It's better to make a profession or learn or go to high school to change the direction of thinking, let's say. Of course, from the economic status, it's beneficial rather to rely on the state as a job, to be still active and to gain experience or, let's say, life experience before going back to school. It can happen, of course, that you fall in the loop of the paycheck, let's say. So you get used to the money you can spend and you build your life around this money. For some, it's perfectly fine, it works for them. But sometimes students get more clarity through, let's say, we can say labor work or just simply a job to improve themselves there.
Are there any more questions or contributions? Okay, time is. Yes, yeah, we have in schools. Okay, now I would like to invite the member of social entrepreneurship members here to the stage. And we have students here and they make great work and contribute to our program. Gelin bir alkışlar alalım size. As the organization committee, we are very thankful for our students. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think think we are all hungry now, and it is it is time for lunch. 12 past, 12:30. The lunch is at 12:30, and yes, panel session starts at 1 p.m. and you can follow the instructions in the hall, and you can find the post. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch.